work for Future Print.
Sorry.
The recording has just started, so I'll start again. Thank you everyone for joining me today. My name is Eleanor Knight. I work for Future Print, and today we're going to launch the Sustainable Print Manifesto, which is very exciting. I have a lovely set of panelists with me today. I've got Lisa, Carlos, and Stefan. So welcome everybody. I'll ask you to introduce yourselves in a second, but I just want to put the context together as to why we're doing this today. So we created the Sustainable Print Manifesto about a year ago now, I want to say. And initially we created a draft version, which we launched at a Future Print show in Valencia in April this year. And it was very much a sort of a draft version because we were still refining it. We were getting the whole brands together in one room to have a chat about it, to massage them, to talk about them. And we've arrived at the final version now. Although I say final, it's not really final. It's a living document. It's a blueprint of sort of shared principles that we'd all like to adhere to. And earlier this month in Berlin, Stefan and Carlos introduced it live, face to face, to a group of people. And we'll hear about how that went in a minute. But I just wanted to also sort of state that we've called this webinar the tipping point. And I think in order for something to tip over the edge as such, you sort of need three things. So you need a simple story that you can repeat. You need a small group of people with credibility, and then you need the context that makes the action really hard to avoid. And I think that's what we've got this year. That's what's shifted. The manifesto sort of gives us the shared language. The founding partners are the people who are sort of helping carry this message. And then we've got the commercial and regulatory pressure, and that's doing the rest for us. So again, welcome. So could you please introduce yourselves? Maybe we'll start with you, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa Fraccio. I work for CPI Group. We're a large printing company, mainly in the book space, working with publishers and associations. And I've been working here now for 15 years. And we're a pan-European company, so working both in the UK, but also have sites in mainland Europe.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. How about you, Carlos?
So hello, and thanks for having me. I work at HP, and I'm responsible for sustainability strategy of the industrial print business, which includes the Indigo, the Page White, and the Cytex product lines. And yeah, excited to participate in this initiative. I'm always up for collaboration, and it's been a great exercise of sitting together, thinking what we all agree and disagree, and being able to materialize it into a set of common principles that we want to share today with everyone.
Thank you, Stefan.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, super excited to be part of this. So thank you for pulling it together. Stefan Casey, I'm head of ecosystem at IOTT and Sharpend, which is a little bit strange because it's the connected packaging part of the print story, but it is about storytelling and it is about getting the message out there. And that's why we're, proud to be founders, proud to support this. But my background is prolifically in sustainability in print, where I came across a need for this almost a decade ago. So finally see the traction, finally get the industry and the collaboration together on what will be an exciting 2026. So yeah, looking forward to today and answering questions and the community on board.
Fantastic. Thank you. So in a nutshell, for people who've just joined us on the call, why does the manifesto exist? Who would like to take that? Carlos?
Okay, so yeah, in the end, part of what we detected as a gap is that we were all working on sustainability in different parts of the value chain. The media manufacturers are working on deforestation or recycled media or bio-based materials. On the printers, we were working on a different direction. The printers themselves are having their strategies. The brands and the consumers are asking for different things. So there was a lack of agreement and consistency on what is the best way of doing sustainability. No? So this struck a bit because in the end, if we are pursuing different goals, it's hampering the progress. No, there's a problem of communication. There's a problem of everyone advancing in a different direction. No? So we detected this need. We started to share with other companies that related to this problem of the lack of alignment. And this is how the manifesto came to be. No? It's people that are leaders on sustainability that are trying to make a difference and to contribute to the problem, and that found that this lack of direction or an agreed goal, it was hampering innovation and progress. No, so this is why we think this alignment, that is this version of the manifesto, can really help. But again, it's been a collaborative work. So it's Lisa and Stefan has been very active from the very beginning, together with many other companies. Lisa, what are your thoughts now? Why the manifesto?
I think similar to yourself, I think there was definitely a gap. We've signed a number of pledges driven by our value chain. But as a print industry, particularly where we cross genre, obviously I work within a book genre, but I previously worked within magazines and then commercial print. And there isn't anything that brings all of those together. So yes, we have industry bodies that are doing work also in this space, but I think this gave us a way to cross those genres of printing that we see and start to really collaborate across those to see where we had shared vision, shared goals.
And how about you, Stefan? What did you sort of see that made you think, right, we need something, we need a shared starting point?
Look, I think both of Carlos and Lisa have touched upon parts that matter, but it's this siloed mentality, this misalignment that we witness across the entire ecosystem, the whole value chain, the supply chain, from brands to the people that make the packaging itself, to the ink manufacturing. And I think this is a problem that I had identified in a previous brand role, and it was kind of shelved because of the noise around materials and the regulation, but actually what we put on the packaging and print is equally as important as what it's made out of. And I think we need to take a step back sometimes, and we need to look at the whole picture. And that is the whole picture in terms of the print, the physical, but also the digital, the communication, how we get the message out there. Because more and more transparency is required within what we produce today, not just the ingredients of what products are made from, but also what the packaging is being made from. And there's a lot of mandates and articles being written that will be added to some of this regulatory tsunami that we're going to be hit with in the new year. And, ink and decoration and embellishment and everything that makes packaging stand out, we need to support it. And ultimately, we need to support the brands and retailers to give them the information. And unfortunately, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that the amount of restructures happening in the world this year, talent is being lost. And we find that by bringing everyone together, this knowledge can be shared credibly. And I think this is going to be an important and valuable resource and community that many brands and retailers and everybody in this value chain can take advantage of. And I think that's what excited me. That's what excited my peers and colleagues from brands and retailers, and in the space I am today. So I think the industry needs this, and it is living. I think you made the point, Eleanor. It is a living thing that we want more input. We want more people to join, and it will evolve because regulation will evolve. And I think that's really, the key to this, that this is the beginning of a journey that we launched a few weeks ago, and we couldn't have got there without all the peers and partners and the collaborators that are on that dossier today. So a massive thank you to those that are on the PDF and the document and the manifesto. But there are a lot of unsung heroes behind it.
Can I just jump in really quickly now to just sort of share that link? I think Marcus has popped it on the chat. So if anybody who's in the webinar now would like to just go and have a look at that, you can download it. There's a website, a dedicated website, and there's a download link, and you can also see who's pledged already. And if you feel that it aligns with your business, then you can obviously sign that pledge as well.
Yeah, I think it's good maybe to mention the ways of engaging, no? And
yes.
as Stefan said, no, we this is a living thing. We want more people to join, and there are two ways of joining, no? There's one way that is, you review the current version, you agree to the principles, you believe in the same things that this representation of the print value chain believes in, and then you can sign the pledge, and then you sign the pledge, and this you can explain to everybody that you signed the pledge. This is one way of engaging. The other way of engaging is you contact us directly, and you have also a contact us email in the webpage. To participate, no? Because it's a living thing. What we have today, and we'll see it later, it's a very high level definition of what is sustainable print. But then what we want is to get to the next phase, which is enter into the next level of detail, and we will need more help from everyone in the room. So two ways of engaging: signing the pledge and just supporting the initiative and adopting those principles, and the second one is actively participating in the initiative.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's quite important to say that it's, the manifesto is a set of 9 principles, really. And it's sort of just setting out, best practice and what, have a read through them, have a look through them and see how they align. But when you sort of introduced this in Berlin, what came back at you? What were the questions? What was the engagement like?
I can first say that as it was a physical event, we were handing over physical copies. So this is one of the limitations today of the webinars. But now seriously, and then Stefan can comment. We were there, Stefan, myself, and also Jan from ESCO that also participated in the definition. The reaction was very positive. We had quite a lot of feedback in the moment, and quite a lot of people already signing the pledge. And in my case also, I've been receiving, this was 2 weeks ago, so last week and this week, starting to receive engagement from other companies that wanted to join and directly contacted me. Quite a lot of media coverage as well from everywhere in the world. So this is showing that we're touching on something that is relevant for a lot of people. The event itself, it's an event that was organized by Smithers, and it's called Digital Print for Packaging. So it was focused on print, focused on digital print, but also focused on packaging. There are many places more than we want to talk about and to invite people to participate. And today with Future Print, it's one example. Stefan, okay. Your thoughts? How you were also there, feeling the excitement?
Yeah, no, it was exciting. You hear me? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
It keeps coming out in and out, but no, look, it's not great to launch live. And I think this was great to get that instant feedback. I think that's super important. But I think it's the variety within the audience as well that I thought was important. So brands, we had the design community. Uwe was on the panel representing the EPDA. And I think this is where we want to grow. It is not just for the converters and the printers. It's for the users of the technology. It's for the people designing the experiences and the communication, and it'll only work if we all come together. And I think that community in Smithers, it's a very good event that they undertake. They're at the tipping point, to bring it back to the title, in terms of enabling a quicker response, because digital print, as we know, and hybrid printing solutions are at the forefront in terms of the communication and connected packaging and codes and things like this. So we can accelerate perhaps here quicker than the more conventional analog. But that said, and Carla's saying, we want to be with other events. We want to get the message out there that genuinely brands and retailers, we want them to be empowered, have the knowledge, dispel those myths that we can do decorative packaging responsibly, sustainably. And I think those were the underlying messages of the day, and the messages from, even the system providers like ESCO. We need to embed this thinking practically pragmatically within all these touch points. And that's what I really took away from the event is we really have worked hard over the year, everybody, to penetrate different stakeholder groups. And I think this is why I feel that kind of excitement, because I feel it's much more action orientated, and I am very much in favor of action orientated than sitting around in circles holding hands and chiming. We need to move, and we need to move quickly.
Totally. And I'm just sort of wanted to touch back on the whole shared framework. Why is it so important that there's people from all the different parts of the value chain, they're all signing up for this? Why is that important that we're pulling together on this as in a shared framework? Carlos, Lisa.
I'll take that. I think when you do something together with your colleagues or with your suppliers or anyone in your value chain, with your customers, it just moves faster. It means more. That shared goal just has more direction, and certainly gives you more gravitas, because you're coming together with something rather than just one company's voice around what they're doing. And I think as an industry, that's certainly where we were lacking. And I think that pointing back to Stefan's earlier point, where the siloed part, you can do things. It's just a slower journey. And at the moment, particularly where regulation is coming in so fast, where focus then becomes on regulation, and then our actions become just measurers and not actual changes, which is, I think, definitely where we all want to be.
Totally. And why now? Why is this so important now, timing wise?
I think there's just been a lot of change, isn't there? I think particularly where we're all based, mainly in the EU. There's just been so much noise outside of coming from within the EU, and the watering down of certain regulations that has probably just given everybody a change of focus, and particularly because we are all so focused on one particular measure around carbon, and it's everything else that goes with it. It's also the positivity that print brings, and I think this is what the manifesto is trying to say, is that it's fine to print. Don't be scared of printing. It's more that just how do we do it responsibly, and how do we do it and say all the good things about printing, and not just the noise that you hear, and no greenwashing either. I think it's really important.
Yeah. Carlos, did you want to add anything there?
I had a manager that when he was asked why now, and he replied, why not now? No, and it's okay now. I think now it's a combination that we found a group of action oriented companies, no, and leaders. CPI, Simpress, ESCO, even competitors of HP with Domino, input from Koenig & Bauer, some brands, some of them participating, some of them providing input. So we found the right people to start working on that, no? And this is the why now, no? And I think it was needed already several years ago, no? But now is the moment that we came together. It took us 1 year of work to converge to something that we all agree, which has been a long process, but now we have it, and we want to continue working on that. No, this is again why we are inviting everyone to participate.
Totally, and I feel obviously it differs totally from a marketing sort of pledge. This is very much a living document for people in the print industry. What do you think should people expect will change once they sign up to this pledge? Or I know this is a really difficult question, but if I'm a company and I decide, right, I'm going to put my name next to this, what should I expect will change within my business? Whoever would like to take this.
Yeah, I have I don't know if it's a vision or if it's an aspiration or something like that. But what I want is, or what I envision is that people adhering to the pledge will find a common language to collaborate with their value chain, no? And this means with their suppliers and with their customers. So if I am a company and I subscribe the manifesto, I will talk to my suppliers and say, hey, this is what I believe. I expect you to believe the same or not. If not, let's discuss, because this is what the industry believes, no? And same with your customers. So I think this will facilitate the innovation, the communication, in a clearer way. No? The second thing I expect, and as Stefan, no, I am an action person. No? So, for example, inside my company, inside HP, what I want is to come to my R&D teams, to my product teams, and show the manifesto and say, hey, this is what the industry believes. This is where we should be heading towards. No? So it will facilitate and accelerate innovation because we will have a clearer goal. No? So I see these two benefits. One is if you pledge and subscribe to the manifesto, you can get these aligned definitions with your value chain, but then also to accelerate innovation. No? When you innovate yourself, you know where we need to be headed, and all the industry will be headed in the same direction. This is my personal vision. No? I don't know for the rest.
And Lisa, what do you think?
I think it's for us, it's definitely that it gives us different areas to focus on, other than the carbon area, but gives us that, are we measuring all of those areas? How are we impacting all of the areas? What can we do to move each of those areas forward? And how can we communicate that both up and down the supply chain to make sure that we're living and breathing this? I think it's to make it part of our sustainability policy. It's about how you make it part of your code of conduct. And they're all good things that often we're already doing, but I think it just gives us that a point, and an area just to retouch, going back to, and particularly I think the most important thing around it is the fact that it's a live document. It's not something we're saying is finished. It's not something we're saying you sign, you leave, and you're done. It's that it will evolve, and I think that's the bit that actually for me is probably the most exciting piece. Is that it will continue to change as industry changes, as machines change, as manufacturers change, and how the way in which print is viewed. So I think that for us, that for me is probably the area, the change that I think we'll see, certainly within my company.
Okay, and I think just to touch on a question that came up earlier, what it actually means to sign the pledge. And I think what you've all said is basically just to say that you're aligned, your business is aligned with these principles. You know, as a culture within your company, this is what you believe in, and this is what you expect your suppliers, and this is what you want to show your customers, I guess. And I think moving forward, how would you like to see this evolve? I think we sort of had a little bit of a pre-meeting yesterday, and we were sort of talking about how this might evolve in the future and where this might go. Specifically saying it's not, just a document that you sign, you pledge, and then you throw it in the in tray. You really want it to be, evolving as it goes on. So what might we see this in a year's time, for example? Because I know we've got this event in Valencia for Future Print event, and it would be really interesting to see sort of a year on from the first sort of draft document being introduced. Where has it come and where is it going? Does anyone want to say anything to that?
I think, we talked about it, when manifestos turn into consortiums and consortiums turn into more action-orientated groups. The future is down to the members and the collaborators. But I think the first thing is pledge. Let's get that voice out there. I think there's no commitment. There's just a belief that we're onto something here. And I laugh and joke about it. It could be the 10 Commandments in 1 week. It could be 12. It could be whatever. But I think more and more of it will, as long as there's value there, I sit in so many meetings and, packaging development and, innovation workshops where, they want to do these aspirational decorative packaging and they're just scared because the knowledge isn't there and they haven't got the right collaboration in terms of the supply chain. Yes, you can use UV. maybe. You can use certain embellishments. And I think there was a question, not all embellishment is sustainable. No, it's not. But let's put that in there so that people are informed and can make those decisions. Because depending on what lens you use, what is sustainability? That in itself is a conundrum of a question that can never truly be answered. But what we're trying to do here is put everybody on the same page. Let's not compete. Let's not have an industry working in silos, because our customers, our brands, our retailers, our consumers, they're overwhelmed as it is, you know? Let us talk a straight narrative for once. Let us evolve that narrative in a way that is meaningful, because we've got one planet, folks. Yeah, you know, we need to do it properly. There's no plan B. And I think with the tsunami of regulation, as I said at the beginning, that's coming, and honestly, I think I saw 112 articles at the moment being drafted to be added to this noise. We need to come together. And like Carlos said, you know, HPs are sitting next to K Bowers, you know, we're all in this. And what we want is, you know, to provide that information so it allows people to make those decisions, to create packaging, printed books in a way that means something, or it's going to be enforced. You know, either act now or be taken to the action, you know, and I hate that. I want to empower my own decisions. I want the flexibility, and that's what we want to do. Otherwise, regulatory will get it wrong because they're having to make, you know, shoot from the hip decisions that are not often the right thing to do. So we need to come together and have a voice. And having fragmented voices is not the way. That's why we want to bring the associations on board. We want to bring the thinkers, the think tanks, the converters, the ink manufacturers, because if we continue to have this noise from all these siloed conversations, it's often the person who shouts the loudest gets listened to, and that is not right.
Totally. And I think
I think there's another thing, no, that I want for the next year, and this is what you were saying, Lisa, yesterday when we were chatting. No, it's true that we need to align the voices and to elevate it, but then also we need to learn collectively on, you know, how we measure, how we benchmark, and how to advance. I see also more details. No? When you review the link that Marcus shared on the chat, you will see that the current definition is very high level. What I expect next year is to have more details, no, on each of those principles, and maybe have versions that are more tailored for publishing or for packaging or for labels. No, maybe having this more detailed version. So this is also something that I expect, no, that as a group we will learn and we are able to specify more from the two things. Raising the awareness and bringing people into the project, and the other one is learning as a group.
Totally. And I think if anyone's got any questions or wants to ask anything more specific off the webinar, there is a link on the website that you can click and ask questions there, and we'll pick up the phone, we'll get in touch, we'll get a few people, a group on a call, we'll discuss, we'll chat. So this whole thing will evolve, and we just want you to challenge things and not just take things as a status quo, because I think it's important to all be on board with this and all pull as a team in the right direction, in the same direction. Does anyone want to add anything else here, or do you think we've covered everything?
I think, you know, this is also an opportunity to collectively shout about the great and the good as well. You know, there are great examples out there where people and organizations are being brave and bold and challenging and doing some great design and packaging and printing. And I think this collaboration is also a voice for that. You know, we don't want to be talking about rules and regulation the whole time, but we want to be this action orientated group that is also showcasing. And I think that in itself will make it more engaging and more enticing for people to come on board with, because we need more examples of it, you know, and that genuine collaborative spirit. You know, we've been talking about collaboration in packaging and print for plus 10 years. I'm only really seeing it over the last 2 years that we're genuinely bringing together more than 2 partners. I'm working with 6, 7. I mean, I think my record is about 18, but that's not healthy. But this is why we're trying to do these things. So let's also look at how we can positively promote the good, because that will drive even more demand and even more engagement.
So, I mean, we've got this website. I can post news articles on there if anyone has any things that are new that are great. Let's share it. Let's tell everyone about it. Let's shout. And if there's a speaker slot somewhere, let's get a few of us together. Let's go. Let's talk about what we're doing. And I think it's about just keeping the momentum going within the market and within the industry, and just saying, look, this is good. This is, we need to change, and this is how we change. Excellent. So please, all look at the website, download the manifesto, and pledge, and get in touch if you want more information. And so we'll leave it at that, unless anyone else has any more questions or anything else to add. I'm just checking the chat list, but I think those have all been
the audience submit questions, Elena?
They did, but they've been answered as we've been going along by my trusty helpers in the background. It's a bit like Santa's helpers. Yeah, they've magically been answered, which is great. But any other questions, please do get back in touch. And when we share this afterwards, we'll put the link back in there as well, so that you can all get in touch with us.
Yeah, and do share. Yeah, do share it out there. I think that's, I know there's a lot of you on this call, and thank you for giving up that time as well. Yeah. You're almost believers, so this is great. So do sign the pledge, do share it, and get in touch with any of the collaborators that you see on the manifesto. The people on this call, I think, and engage in the events. We have Valencia, we have others, and I think this will naturally grow, and I think that's the ambition. But no, thank you everybody, and thank you Futureprint and the team.
Yeah, thanks to you panelists, you've been amazing. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Everyone have a great Christmas.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Happy Christmas. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.